Last week, Eris, Nyx, and Kalicum, two members of DULF, or the Drug User Liberation Front, were found guilty of drug trafficking charges in BC's Supreme Court, and their ongoing case could alter drug policy in Canada. For a bit of background, DULF was co-founded by Nyx and Kalicum as a response to Vancouver's toxic drug crisis. Between January 2016 and March 2025, nearly 54,000 people died of opioid overdoses in Canada, according to reported data. This is a crisis that queer and trans people are particularly vulnerable to. Research shows that LGBTQ2 2S+ people are at a disproportionately high risk of substance use-related harms, and of course, queer, trans, and racialized groups are overrepresented in the carceral system overall and are affected by the war on drugs. In an attempt to save lives, DULF formed a compassion club in 2022 and used donated funds to buy cocaine, meth, and heroin off the dark web. They tested these drugs to ensure that there was no toxicity, and then they sold them at cost to their 47 compassion club members in Vancouver's downtown east side, which has been particularly hard hit by the toxic drug crisis. The club ran for more than a year, and during that time they collected data for several research papers to study the effectiveness of this radical, non-medicalized harm reduction intervention. Throughout that period, not a single member of the Compassion Club overdosed and died. Politicians and police were well aware of DULF's work, and some even praised the Compassion Club, but political tides eventually turned, and politicians like Federal Conservative Party of Canada leader Pierre Poilievre and BC MLA Eleanor Sturco started drumming up panic about DULF. In October 2023, both Nyx and Kalicum were charged with possession. After the case made its way through BC's court system, the pair were found guilty of drug trafficking last Friday. Despite the conviction, though, the judge presiding over the case stated in her ruling that DULF's pilot project worked. DULF's legal battle isn't over. They've mounted a constitutional challenge which claims that their charter rights and the rights of drug users were violated when the Compassion Club was shut down. The challenge argues that without the club, members are denied access to life-saving supply and exposed to severe risks. By shutting down the club, the state has infringed on the right to life and security of the person of the Compassion Club's members. The risks they mention are very real. This fall, I was in Vancouver working on a forthcoming story for Script about DULF and the state of the harm reduction movement in Canada, and one former Compassion Club member that I spoke with at the time told me that since losing access to DULF's safe supply, they've overdosed several times. The outcome of this challenge could change Canada's harm reduction and drug policy landscapes. If the challenge is successful, it could lead to DULF's charges being overturned. It could also overturn the Controlled Drugs and Substances Act, which is the primary apparatus used to criminalize drugs in Canada. And this, in turn, could offer more opportunities for harm reduction organizations to help their user bases access a safer supply. In the meantime, DULF is continuing to raise funds for their legal defense. And across the country, drug users are continuing to die needless deaths at the hands of a system that criminalizes them rather than offering safety or care.